Oh man, it's been such a long day. I've been at work all day. It's probably about my third night in a row just staying up. I'm so tired. Oh man, if only something good would head my way for today and just help me kind of relax and unwind. Wait a minute. Oh no, today's a... No. Oh no, 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 no. I haven't recorded my worst of 2017 list. Oh god. No, oh no, no, no. Oh. Well, there's only one thing left to do. Alright, so I've already discussed with you guys my favorite films of 2017, and I promised you guys I'd talk about my least favorite films of 2017. It is currently 1:31 in the morning. I've gotten off of work and I'm just eaten. I've just had pizza for dinner, and now I'm here to discuss with you my least favorite atrocities of the year. How wonderful. Gosh, if that isn't commitment, I don't know what is. Now remember, this is my personal list, not like some kind of thing where it's like, oh, this movie is technologically better than this film, where like, oh, this works thematically more than it does in this one, and then it's not arranged like in any professional way. These are just my own personal worst or most disappointing films, I will say. Like half of them aren't the worst things that could happen. They're more of just heartbreakers for me. There are some pretty horrible and atrocious films on this list, but a lot of them are just ones that were very disappointing for me and that I just kind of frowned down upon because they could have been so much more. With that being said, let's get started with number 10. Thor Ragnarok. Are you ready to Ragnarok and roll, brother? Now don't get me wrong, this movie is not bad by any means. It's watchable, but you know, that's all that it really was. Now don't get me wrong, there are plenty of really great comedies, but you know, a lot of my favorite kind of comedies always have heart. And this movie didn't really have any heart to it. It's just straight up comedy. Any emotion that they could have had in the film, they just toss out in favor of just making a quick joke. At the very end of the movie, there's a moment that should have been heartbreaking for us as we're watching Thor go through something that is very, very personal to him, and he's losing this something. And they just make a joke, and it's not even a great joke. It's a joke that you see coming from like 100 miles away. One of those, oh, don't worry, this will be better, and then it gets worse, and they're like, oh, never mind, it got worse. It's just one of those kind of jokes, and it just felt very weak. To me, I hear a lot of people praise this movie for how creative and everything, and it is a very pretty movie to watch, but there's no heart to it. It just didn't feel like any of the threats were real or could be taken seriously. It just felt like a bit of a parody of itself, and I don't really know. It was very disappointing in my eyes. Though I will say Korg was pretty amazing. Number 9. The Circle. Does anyone even remember this movie at all? Emma Watson was in there, and so was Tom Hanks. And so was John Boyega from Star Wars. You know, this movie really has just a bunch of missed opportunities and an all-star cast, but they just don't utilize them well at all. This entire movie is all very, very boring and slow, and it doesn't really preach to us anything new that we haven't heard from other social commentary films like this before, that, oh, too much technology can be a bad thing. Ugh. It does nothing absolutely special with those themes, and it's just a generic film. The editing is very choppy. There's one scene where it's supposed to be like really suspenseful, and you have this character that's on a bridge, and these drones are kind of following him, and it's supposed to be like, oh gosh, he's gonna crash and fly off the side of the bridge, which he does end up doing. I don't care if you were looking forward to The Circle. We all know that you weren't, so who cares if I spoil it. So this character goes off the side of the road, and he dies, and the editing of that moment just made everything feel really phoned in and just kind of half-assed. It was kind of like, oh no, drone, oh no, drone. It made everything feel too long, is what I'm trying to say, of this moment that's supposed to like happen in like an instant, and I get that some movies have to like kind of draw things out for you to like be able to register them, but this just felt like it took way, way, way too long, and so the editing is just very choppy, and it's just boring, and honestly, I can barely remember it, man. You're not gonna watch this movie.
Number 8.
Life. Now, this movie had an interesting setup. There were some tense moments in this film, but as the movie progressed more and more, it just became your average and generic slasher film. Oh, who's gonna get it next? Even though you know exactly who is gonna get it next. Though I will say that the first death in the movie did kind of catch me off guard. But other than that, the movie wasn't anything special. And then the ending pissed me off to no end because it was incredibly predictable and just complete bullshit. It was just your generic, like, bait and switch ending, you know? It's like, oh, us Sony executives are so smart, the people in the audience are gonna think it's gonna end up this way. But it actually ends up the other way, and you expect it, you see it coming from, like, 12 yards away. As I've said with the last film, this movie isn't great. But there's a reason why it's on this worst list. Number 7. Pirates of the Caribbean. Dead men tell no tales. Let this franchise die, please, dear God. The plot of this movie was so boring and slow. Every little moment just lasted for far too long. Captain Jack Sparrow getting married on that, like, island of lepers or whatever that was, if I remember right. That went on for too long. Captain Jack Sparrow's... These moments are stretched out so much because there's barely any plot, and they're like, oh gosh, if we made this, like, into an actual, like, film, it'd only be, like, 40 minutes. Well, shit, how about we just take this, like, little scene and we stretch it out for, like, another page or so, and how about we take that moment and we stretch it out for, like, I don't know, about till there, that seems about right. Yeah, the audience will be totally fine, because it's Johnny Depp in the movie! He's gonna get people in the seats, and granted he does, but he didn't save the movie at all. He kind of feels like he's phoning it in at this point of the franchise, in my honest opinion. The movie's advertised to be like the last film of the series, and what do we get after the credits? A bullshit post-credit scene. No more, please. At least I learned a decent amount about horology. Number 6. Speaking of franchises that need to die, Alien Covenant. Oh, this film. Every character in this movie is so dislikable. Every single character in this film is stupid. They make the dumbest decisions, and whenever they get killed off, you'd think that, like, oh yay, the idiot's been murdered in this film, and you'd expect that to, like, actually, like, kind of feel good, you know? Like, oh, thank God that person's taken out of the picture, but no. The deaths aren't satisfying. The entire film is completely predictable. You see exactly where the movie's going, and then the entire third act of the film, you're like, okay, I already know the big twist about what's gonna happen, you know, the Michael Fassbender isn't Michael Fassbender, or the Michael Fassbender that we're expecting Michael Fassbender to be fast-spending, you know, just... This movie's garbage. This franchise needs to die. Ridley Scott needs to just kind of, like, back off from all these projects, please. And he's like, we've got 20 more, like, right around the corner. Oh boy, I can't wait to watch the quality of those go down even more. Everything is just the worst in this film. Number 5. Kong! Skull Island. Look! This movie's joined Batman vs. Superman on the list of film sequels that chose style over substance! Now, I'm a huge monster movie fan. I love Godzilla. I've seen all the movies like 20 times. It's what I've grown up with. I've watched all the King Kong films too, including that weird one with Jeff Bridges that I know my mom hates. I don't really remember too much about it, but I just remember Kong looked really weird at times. But so I've seen all these giant monster movies, all these kaiju films and everything, and I loved the 2014 Godzilla from Gareth Edwards, and I was looking forward to seeing Kong Skull Island because I am beyond pumped for Godzilla versus King Kong. Wait, that movie's being directed by the same guy who did the Death Note movie? Oh, shit. This film has several interesting themes. It's all set during the Vietnam War era, and so they kind of make out a couple of themes that are like, oh, hey, the enemy isn't there unless you go looking for it. Like, they specifically say that line, if I recall. And I was like, okay, yeah, that's actually a pretty cool, like, little theme that they could be planted into this movie. But the movie doesn't really go deep enough because the film decides to just stop and show off a really pretty image, you know, something that's like, ooh, that's like really nice cinematography. And there is excellent cinematography in this film, but not like a whole lot of these pretty shots don't help tell the story. They're just there to look pretty, and that's it. They could have went a whole lot more deeper with a couple of these themes, but they just don't. And then the character deaths just kind of feel a bit half-assed whenever someone does die in the movie. Though I will admit that the bamboo spider leg that goes through the dude's mouth and out of his ass, that was pretty interesting, kind of intense. It looked cool, at least. And at least the director can kind of own up to the mistakes of this movie and kind of be like, yeah, I get that this isn't done properly or done as well as it could have been, so good for him. I'm proud of that guy. I admire that he at least owns up to the mistakes that he's made with this movie. It's not the worst movie ever, but it's just a huge missed opportunity. Number 4. The Mummy! Look! This movie's joined the list with Batman vs. Superman, Age of Ultron, and The Amazing Spider-Man 2, and being a film solely to set up sequels and spin-offs, all to set up a cinematic universe! What a perfect movie layout! That always works out, right? No, it does not. That's like the worst thing that you could do. That's the worst idea that you could have going into making a movie, is just to be like, yeah, we're gonna make this just solely to make an Aunt May spin-off movie. That was something that Sony actually wanted to do. Okay, let's kick off with how much of a snooze fest this movie is. What's the best thing for keeping your audience awake during a film? Exposition! Especially the same line of exposition, like, given to you, like, every 30 minutes of the film. Whoa! That's the kind of stuff that I look for in my movies, just exposition after exposition. And, like, the movie telling you what's gonna happen instead of you kind of figuring it out for yourself and kind of like being like, oh no, this is gonna happen. Thanks, movie, for not treating me like a dumbass and holding my hand all the way through just to tell me what's gonna happen next. Or to tell me where this character came from. Or to tell me what's the entire motivation behind this character's actions. Oh man, just gotta love how much exposition there is in this movie. And let's not forget all the setup that's in there. Like, oh my goodness, this movie's gonna kick off the Dark Universe. Hopefully the second time's a charm, right? I mean, Dracula Untold didn't do the job the first time, so maybe this movie will get the job done right. So, what's in there? The hand of the creature from the Black Lagoon, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Oh my gosh, there is just so much foreshadowing. Whoa! This movie is not a masterpiece. It is quite the opposite. It is dog shit, and it's probably killed the Dark Universe the second time. You know, but hey, but what can they do? Try to start it over for a third time? It's really kind of sad because Universal Studios were the ones who set up the entire original movie cinematic universe and everything with their original Universal monsters, and they were the longest cinematic universe too, if I recall. And now they're the ones that are struggling the hardest to like really pick themselves up and kick off a cinematic universe. I mean, we've got Marvel who are constantly pumping out movie after movie and everything like that, and everyone's like loving those. We have DC who is kind of struggling to find its footing, but they have characters that are lovable enough to be able to at least make back the money needed to continue their cinematic universe forward, but the Universal monsters don't really generate, like, you know, enough interest or anything like that. And they're not as popular as they were back when they were originally introduced to us. So this cinematic universe just couldn't even make back the money to be able to continue and try to push out the next project, being like, hey, maybe this one is going to be the one that people are going to enjoy. And it's just really struggling, and it was not good at all. The editing is incredibly choppy, the humor is just horrible, and the entire movie is just set up for another, like, set of 20 films. You don't make a movie just to be set up for another movie. But at least this movie did give us that wonderful, wonderful IMAX trailer.
Pan, this is November 4, 09er.
What the hell?
No.
Cue that clip right there though. Oh! 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 Number 3. The Emoji Movie. it. Oh gosh, I almost slipped and died right there. Oh Kevin, no! Whew, I saved your booty. That was low-key very terrifying. I was very scared. Oh gosh, I'm going to have to... So let's talk about the Emoji Movie. Every joke just falls completely flat. There's no creativity. There's no enjoyment to be had with this film. Meh. The characters are all horribly and painstakingly annoying. The subplots are completely useless and don't develop any emotional attachment towards any characters or this entire world that's being built and that is about to be destroyed. Meh. The entire movie keeps preaching that women don't need a guy to save them and that women can be independent. And whenever the lead female character tells Jean, our lead hero protagonist, that she isn't romantically interested in him, he goes meh and loses his personality. So after telling him that she already has a plan for life and that she's gonna live out that plan because that's what's gonna make her happy, she decides to throw that all away for Jean. So he's no longer a meh, but he has a personality. And she decides to throw her entire life away just to make one person happy. What? You know, fun fact, I streamed this entire movie on my Instagram, like the entire film. Took 2 live streams, because if I remember right, it was like an hour for each live stream, so an hour and a half for the entire movie. I filmed the entire thing, and I did a commentary over it, or I tried. It did not make the movie any more enjoyable. It was painful. I heard how horrible this movie was. I did not watch it until it came out on Redbox, and my mom and my sister brought it home, and they're like, hey, we're gonna watch the Emoji Movie. And originally, I wasn't gonna watch the film because I did not want to give money to Sony for this horrible, horrible movie. You know, I remember when the Lego Movie came out, and I was thinking, man, this movie is gonna be complete garbage. All it is just product placement. It's not gonna be fun. It's not gonna be good. There's not gonna be anything worthwhile about it. And where does the Lego Movie sit? With me emotionally, it's one of my favorite animated films ever. The speech that Emmett gives Lord Business at the very end of the film struck a chord with me. It spoke to younger me, and it touched my heart, and I was like, oh my gosh, this movie is deep. Anyone, everyone is special in one way or another. What does this movie teach you? Forget all your hopes and dreams. You know, you gotta just like throw away your entire life or something. I don't know. Women are empowered to throw away their entire lives if one guy is depressed or something. I don't know. This entire movie is confusing. A super emoji will get you laid at some school dance. What? I don't know. What does this movie have to teach anyone? Absolutely nothing. I don't even think that what I've even just said could even be considered like a moral of the film. I think those are just plot points and things that just happen. This movie doesn't teach you anything. This movie won't teach kids, the directed demographic, anything. I don't even think it'd get a laugh out of kids. They'd just be sitting there like, meh. And their personalities won't come back until the second that they leave the frickin' theater or stop watching the movie on whatever screen that it is. This movie is a complete failure, but it is not my number 1. What did I say this movie was? My number 3? Oh, buddy, don't worry. We've got 2 more movies that are so much more worse than this pile of dog Number 2... The Snowman! Whoa! I love this movie! Oh boy! Here's another film that I just realized has Michael Fassbender that is also on my list for the worst movies of 2017. This movie is painfully boring. Oh, I was just sitting in my theater seat. I paid money for this opening weekend, by the way, and there was only 3 people other than my family. It was me, my dad, my mom, my sister, and 3 other people in this huge, ginormous theater that we have here in town. Like, huge, really nice theater with reclining seats and everything like that. You know, you'd think that this theater would generate like a ton of people to come watch the movies, irregardless of the quality of it, because, I mean, at least you're getting that sweet-ass theater experience. No! This movie is complete, utter garbage! Everything about this movie is just the worst. Val Kilmer is in this film for some reason. I don't know, but what I do know is that his ADR is completely horrible. The guy's dubbed voice does not match his lips when he's speaking. It is like, this is actual recorded dialogue. I'm not repeatedly saying I want to die and why am I in this garbage film. It is so bad, and the editing is just as terrible. There's a sequence in the final fight, third act, whatever the hell you want to call it, the final confrontation of the film. There's a sequence in there where the camera's just jumping all over the place and you can't make anything out. I don't know, a character jumps forward, someone flies back as if they've been shot or whatever, you hear like a buzzing going off, and suddenly someone's finger flies across the theater screen and just lands somewhere, and then someone's free, and I don't even know what the hell that entire what was going on in that entire sequence. It is so impossible to follow the action of what's going on. The characters are freaking stupid and so bland, and you don't care about any of them. There's a weird dry humping sequence. Okay, cool, I don't know why that's in there. Didn't further the plot or be like, oh hey, this shows like some conflict between these characters and their personal lives and everything like that. That makes these characters more interesting and flawed and more human. No, it doesn't do anything for this movie. It's just there. This movie is poorly directed, and then to add more insult to injury, they expect a sequel. The end of the film finishes up where they're like, oh hey, we just solved this snowman murder case, but you know what? We've got another crime on our hands, so let's get out there and solve it. Next time in whatever the hell the sequel would have been titled, I don't know. Supposedly this movie went over its filming schedule, and there are genuine chunks of the script that were never filmed and brought to life, and it is incredibly obvious while you were watching the movie. There are moments of this film where something's happening and it just jumps to something completely unrelated and there's no explanation to any of it. No, f*** this movie. This is bad. This is garbage. It was horrible. But it is not the worst thing I have watched this year. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm about to explain to you my top pick for the worst movie of 2017. If you know me personally, you know what this movie already is. JT, Bo, we've discussed this. Nathan, I'm so sorry that I made you watch this. It is so horrible. It is fundamentally broken on every single level. It fails at being a film on every single level. It does not accomplish a single thing as a movie. It brings no entertainment, no morals, no little life lessons that you take with you after experiencing the movie. You know what? This might help me be a better person. Or I've learned something from this movie. It presents none of that. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you number 1, Valerian! Oh my gosh! This is the perfect movie to hate. It is the absolute worst. It is the biggest pile of dog I have watched all year. It is so bad. My sister knows that it physically hurts me. She even went out so far for Christmas to buy me the Valerian Funko Pop set. Oh, thank goodness. And even better, they were discounted because no one wanted the little bastards, the pieces of trash. But I own them now. They're on my set, right here. Oh man. But Laureline, I'm a soldier. But Valerian, love is the most powerful thing in the entire universe. I've preached to so many of my friends how horrible this movie is, and they're like, no man, it couldn't have been that bad. I put on Snapchat how horrible this movie is. It was at the Redbox, and I took a picture of the little cover art that's on the Redbox display. And I was like, never ever watch this pile of dog shit ever in your entire life. Not even for $1 a night for a rental. And I had so many people comment to me, well, no, that can't be right. The movie can't be that bad. It looked okay. That's what I thought too. I thought it would be okay. You know, the original Valerian and Laureline comics inspired Star Wars. Their ship was very obviously the inspiration for the Millennium Falcon. Han Solo getting frozen in carbonite was directly taken from one of the Valerian comics where I believe he's frozen in what if I remember right, is a block of ice. It's inspired so many science fiction films that we all love and cherish, and so many science fiction properties that we all love and cherish to this day. I expected this movie, the very source material that inspired all these wonderful films and properties, to at least be fun. Boy, was I freaking wrong. This movie drags for so long. Let me tell you a little story of this film. Whenever I went to go see it in the theaters, I believe it was opening weekend. It was sometime really early in its theatrical run. We were 20 minutes late to this movie, and I looked at my phone, my handy dandy utility right here. I looked at it, I looked at the theater showtimes, and I was like, War for the Planet of the Apes would just now be getting out of its trailers. We could walk into the theater room, which was directly across Valerian, and I was saying we could walk right into War for the Planet of the Apes, and we wouldn't miss a second of that movie. We've already missed 20 minutes of Valerian. Let's just go watch Planet of the Apes. My dad says, no, we already bought the tickets for Valerian. Let's go watch that right now. We've already got the tickets, so let's go watch it. My sister and I each gave each other a longing and sorrowful look at one another. We glanced at the War for the Planet of the Apes banner that was right above the theater room. Then we turned and walked right into Valerian. The second the movie got out, my dad says, yeah, we should have watched Planet of the Apes. And we should have. The movie was horrible. But what's even better is that despite being 20 minutes late for the film, we didn't miss a second of action. Oh boy! Whoa! Got to experience the entire 30-minute long desert marketplace, virtual reality marketplace, or whatever the hell that was. That definitely didn't drag on for too long at all, right? And then we also got to see John Goodman being set up as the movie's villain. Oh, wherever you are, Agent Valerian, I'll find you, and I'll kill you. Oh man, now we're gonna have an intergalactic hunt for this Agent Valerian guy, right? This guy that we're all supposed to be behind and everything. He's supposed to be like the likable badass guy and everything like that. Nope! Throw John Goodman out the window. He isn't in this story at all. And you know what? Speaking of Valerian, who cares about him? I certainly don't! I didn't care about anyone in this movie! Everyone is the worst in this film! Just complete, utter garbage! I get Valerian is supposed to be like an asshole and everything, but he's supposed to be a bit of a lovable asshole at the very least, like Star-Lord, you know? He's a jerk, but he's got a heart of gold on the inside. And that's how Valerian should have been portrayed, and I'm sure that's how he was meant to be written, but my God, Dane DeHaan directed so dryly that there's not a single thing to like about this character. Same goes for Cara Delevingne, or Delevingne, as Agent Laureline. Oh man, there is a scene where they get like the main little artifact that they're supposed to be protecting for the entire film. It's called the power converter, and like it's a little dragon that you feed it things, and it shits out like 1 million copies of it. And whenever she opens up the little vault for it, and she's supposed to be looking inside of it, she's like, hey there, little guy. Oh, you're not so bad. You look cute. Let's get you all washed up. She's not looking at it. Say it's like right here. She's like looking like straight above it or whatever. Oh, hey, little guy. Let's get you washed up. Okay, let's do that. Feed me some pearls so I can shit them out. Oh my god, this movie is so bad! It is so fun to talk about, and you'd expect a movie that sounds so horrible to be fun to watch, but no, I guarantee you, it is not. It is completely boring. After watching this movie, and by the time that it came out on Blu-ray, and my sister brought it home from the Redbox machine, I was like, okay, well this might be fun to rewatch and make fun of. Let's bring Nathan over for the ride, and let's have him sit down and watch the movie with us. Nope, big mistake. I remembered how horrible it was at that second. It is so bad. Nathan told me he got a headache 20 minutes into the film. The funny thing is that I was late 20 minutes into the film, and I had a headache at that same point too. Oh, it's so bad. It's the worst. It's complete garbage. This entire movie has an okay third act. It's like the writers were like, hey, we know how we want this movie to end. Okay, we've got this all fleshed out and everything like that, da-da-da-da-da. Okay, cool, that's solid. Now what are we gonna do for the next 2 hours? Oh, well, let's just have Valerian and Laureline stumble around. Literally, they just stumble around until they accidentally find what they're supposed to have been looking for. That's how it goes. Laureline is treated throughout the entire movie like, oh, she's such a badass. She's supposed to be so cool and all this fun stuff. And she's supposed to be like this big badass and everything that can take care of herself, and they keep portraying her like that, and they keep giving her horrible one-liners to really cement that fact into your brain. And then there's a scene where she's kidnapped, and she's about to get her skull chopped off with a lemon squeezer choppy thing. I don't know what the hell that thing was. It's a giant pair of scissors. It's supposed to chop off her head after they put lemon juice on her or something like that, and she doesn't know that Valerian is in disguise as one of these aliens. But what does she do when she's about to be killed? Does she decide to like, hey, let's fight back because I'm a badass soldier who's had years of training or whatever? No! She screams out for help for Valerian! Valerian! Yep, that's right, this badass character decides to just kind of crumble to the floor and just cry and be like, oh, I need this man to come save me, and stuff. It's so bad. It's not good. It's horrible. It's the worst. There's also the fact that this movie has an entire scene about, like, I don't know, I think it's like maybe 45-ish minutes into the movie, Valerian's gone missing, and so Laureline needs to put this jellyfish thing on her head because for some reason it's going to be able to be like, hey, with your memories and me seeing what Valerian looks like, I'm going to be able to figure out wherever the hell Valerian is on this friggin' planet. And she puts the thing on her head, and it shows you everything that you've literally just seen. From the start of that 20-minute point, from where I walked in, the start of the main plot, all the way up until she puts the jellyfish on her head. Why? Why do we need to watch this movie a second time while watching the movie the first time? It is not that good that we need to see it all again, and the movie audience isn't stupid enough to forget that little, that entire segment of the film so quickly. I mean, granted, I guess the director realized that people would have fallen asleep during the movie. He's like, okay, we need to recap these people because this movie's utter dumb shit, and yeah, let's just throw an entire, recap of the last, 30 minutes of the film, or 45 minutes of the film, whatever the hell it was. Oh my god. This movie's the worst. Laureline, did you say the 81st floor? Yes, Agent Valerian. I did say the 81st floor. Well, okay, because I'm currently falling through space right now. Oh, I'm sorry, Valerian, I misread that. It was supposed to be the 18th floor. It's okay. We all make mistakes. This movie constantly grinds to a halt to throw in your face a brilliantly set up romance between Agent Valerian and Laureline. Oh gosh, how I just longed for the moments where the movie would just stop doing what it was doing to force some non-existent chemistry romance bullshit in our faces And how Valerian wants to marry Laureline so much, but she's totally like not into it, even though she secretly is. And stuff. Oh my god. I lived for those moments. Those were the moments of levity that this movie really needed. There is no chemistry between these characters at all. It is horrible. No one's a human in this movie. They're all just bland. They're just cardboard cutouts of actors being moved around by stagehands.
This recreation identifies how witnesses say the bear escaped into the woods.
It's exactly how it is. It is that fake. It is horrible. It is... I can't stress to you enough how bad this movie is. Maybe I'll do a real talk on it real soon. Well, I'm gonna stop it there for now, folks. Oh man, these movies are just the worst. They're horrible, horrible garbage. And I hate them all with a burning passion. Well, I don't hate all of them. I mean, the ones near the bottom of my list aren't horrible. But boy, did I sure begin to hate these movies more and more towards the top of this list. It is the worst. And you know what, guys? I get to watch another movie later today. Oh boy. What do I get to watch? Tommy Wiseau's The Room. In theaters for one night only, and I get to see it! I've got my ticket right here. So yeah, be on the lookout for that review, because more than likely I'm going to review it. I'm going to do a real talk on it with a bunch of people. I've got a huge group of friends that I'm going to go see this movie with, and hopefully I can get them all to stay for the real talk segment afterwards. Well guys, that has been my top 10 worst movies of 2017. I hope you all enjoyed my rants on how horrible these films are. Don't watch any of them. It's 2:25 in the morning. I think I'm done for now. I feel broken on the inside. I want to cry. Thank you all for sticking around with me and just to watch me go through pain and just suffer. Hit a thumbs up, like, comment, subscribe. Bye!